Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of Viltrumics, an Invincible Podcast here on the Aspect Network. I'm one of your hosts, BreAnna Romero, and joining me to discuss the latest and greatest in the world of Invincible is Negan Fu. Negan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I feel like every time we chat, I don't have any awesome updates, but mostly okay.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
good. Mostly okay is good.
yeah, mostly okay. I ponder the meaning of existence a lot in the
Yeah.
universe.
Speaking
Um,
of pondering the meaning of existence, the other day my Wi-Fi was down from like 4 a.m. to like 9 p.m. at night, and I was supposed to be working from home, and I couldn't, and so I just built a Lego set.
oh, what about your work?
Oh, it it was my last day of work, so it was kind of
Yeah.
this.
Senioritis.
Yeah. I was just like, sorry guys, what are you gonna
Yeah,
fire me?
yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
Um,
that's what I'm up to.
it's good. Well, today, um, it's not just Bree and I discussing Invincible. We're also joined by a fellow podcaster, Invincible fanatic, fellow Scat alum, and our friend Louise Dill. Louise, welcome to Viltrumics.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. It's also just exciting to I don't know anyone who watches this show where I am. We're all in like different places in the world right now. And it's so nice to talk to people who also are fans of the show because I tell people like, "Oh yeah, I'm watching this like animated show about superheroes and it's really good." And everyone's like,
What?
"Aren't you watching Bridgerton or whatever?" I'm like, "No, I want to watch Invincible. Watch it with me. It's so good. The voice acting's incredible. Have you seen the edits
Awesome.
on TikTok?
Mhm.
God, they're amazing."
I know the Invincible TikTok page really does the good edits.
It gets me
Yeah.
into it. I'm like rewatching the show, and whenever I do it and one of the like popular TikTok audios come up, I'm like, "Oh my God, here it is." And in real life, I'm like, "Look at all the cuts that they made in TikTok," because it's not actually like that in the show, but
Yeah.
they really get me fired up.
It's a good one, and I also like feel like I know people who watch it, and like my boyfriend watches it, so like we're always talking about it. But I feel like a lot of my like friends don't watch it, like my close friends, so it's really nice to have Megan to talk to and now you to talk to.
Yeah, it's like The Boys is like the superhero show that everyone cares about,
Yeah.
but there needs to be more attention on Invincible because it's really good. I
Agreed.
love cartoons. I'm a bit of a cartoonaholic. Anything animated is like my favorite, my go-to. I probably watch more animated shows than like real life shows, like real people shows. I don't know
Yeah.
what that says about me, but I don't care. I'm
They're
happy.
good. It's your comfort. You like it.
Oh, yeah, right. Nothing can go wrong
No.
except for like, we'll
Blood
talk
and
about
stuff.
episode 7. Oh, and also, like, I'm really excited to hear your guys's episode because I'll listen to it for episode 8 because that goes crazy.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one's so scary. And this one, just the one that we're talking about, is the build up.
Yes. Yeah. It's
So
a good
good.
one.
I watched to prepare. I watched like 6, 7, 8.
Oh,
What a
good.
nice little chunk of episodes.
Yeah. Well, and it's nice because it feels very well balanced, especially when you bring in episode 6. Because episode 6 kind of feels like a more of a filler episode. Like some big things go down, but not as big as like 7 and 8. So it feels like very well balanced.
Is 8 the season finale?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense for it to be like hitting home.
Yeah.
And also like I love the drama, and I love how Amazon has actually like spoken about how everyone's just like, where's season 3?
Yeah. They're like, they know they're taking a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It was like we're all waiting, not patiently anymore.
No. Mm-mm.
Anyway, sorry, I'm
No,
thinking big.
you're good.
I'm so excited. Okay. Yeah.
Louise, for our audience members who may not be familiar with you and your work, can you share a little bit about yourself and your background both in podcasting and with Invincible?
Yeah, I completely forgot about how no one knows me. So I know you guys from school. I love Invincible. I have absolutely no idea how I found the show. I can't remember because I watched it when it first came out. And I want to say someone might have recommended it to me, but I'm also, since I'm such like an animated fanatic person, I'm just like always browsing for like the next cartoon to watch or whatever. And there's just so many great things about Invincible. Like, how can you not get hooked? I show it to everyone.
Yeah.
I've probably seen the first episode like a million times because I'm like, let me show you this new cool show.
Yeah, and it always gets them at the end. It gets me.
Right,
Yeah.
because you're like, holy moly, Omni Man, who the heck are you? Uh, and then with podcasting, I have my own podcast. We're on a little bit of a break right now because of time situations, but I have a travel podcast called Guess Where I Am. I started it almost like a year ago now with my co-host Anna, and we're just a travel podcast about giving advice for like your normal average person going solo backpacking, and we like to get advice from other people and just from our own experiences and people that we meet while we travel. We're on a bit of a break because my co-host is living in Australia and I'm back here in America. And the time difference kind of makes things really difficult, especially because she's working and trying to get her regional work done so that she can live there even longer. So we have a few episodes recorded that need to come out, but at the moment, it's like a really great place if anyone has any questions or motivations on wanting to like solo travel. We want to help you there because we very much promote that. Yeah, that's my podcasting stuff. But it's honestly just fun to chat with people
Mhm.
about stuff that you're passionate about. And like, then when you share it and the other people you meet who are like, oh my God, I listen and I really like this and that, it's like, it's just fun creating a type of community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Um, well, we're super excited to have you on today because we're continuing our rewatch of Invincible with season 1, episode 7. We need to talk.
Oh, yeah.
So let's kick off this week's show by just jumping into our overall thoughts on the episode. Louise, we'll start with you. What are your big takeaways, your main thoughts after rewatching this episode?
Okay, yes. I have a lot of thoughts, so feel free to shut me up whenever. Um, but I really thought this is kind of like the beginning of the end, and almost like the whole time we as a viewer kind of knew what Omni-Man's objectives were and how he wasn't necessarily a good guy, but this is like the episode where everyone in the show finally learns. So you're kind of like, oh my God, thank God. Like they know. Like I'm not just being played around anymore. But some things that really stood out to me was weirdly enough on this rewatch, I kind of focused on Cecil and
Oh.
his character because I know it's really easy to focus on Omni-Man and this big change and then like Mark becoming and embracing Invincible and then like dealing with his relationship with his father and like poor Debbie his mom?
Mhm.
Poor Deb, like there's so many other characters who go through so much that I feel like Cecil gets kind of thrown into the background, but his character is kind of suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily think he is like a good guy. I like to, well, while rewatching this, I kind of thought maybe Nolan and Cecil are two sides of the same coin,
Mhm.
where they both are like very passionate towards their mission and their planet, and they're
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
kind of distance. So that's something that kind of like I noticed during this episode was the lengths that Cecil and Omni-Man went to like get to Invincible and like talk to him. I thought was kind
Mhm.
of suspicious, but overall, I really thought that this episode was just a really great setup for the following episode, which is like the reaction, I guess. Uh,
Yeah. No, I completely agree about Cecil. He has always I've never like fully trusted the guy. Especially upon rewatch of this season, I just don't like the way he treats Damien Darkblood either. Because like Cecil knows the truth, and Damien Darkblood is just trying to like show him why. Meanwhile, Cecil's like, no, like you're a devil, like, or a demon, like I'm gonna not listen to you. So yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a lot that goes down this episode. Um, why don't we jump into before we get to all the Omni-Man stuff in more depth, why don't we jump into the whole robot storyline? Because that really there's a lot that happens with that in this episode.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on baby robot?
I know when I first watched this like season, I did not like think Robot was as creepy as he was upon my second rewatch. I think like the first time I was like, oh, like he just wants to be a normal boy. And
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
and then the second rewatch, I was like, oh wait, all the things Robot does are a little creepy.
it's he steals DNA. He takes his DNA, makes a mini version of him for himself because he's in love with Monster Girl. And also he lied to the whole team because they all thought he was like an AI robot, and it turned out to be some little 30-year-old, decrepit 30-year-old in a tube of liquid that
Yeah.
can't breathe oxygen or whatever, and he breaks out two criminals to like make a clone.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing because I guess it's like the distances you'll go for love.
Yeah.
But also like even making himself at the same age as Monster Girl appears is like kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Because if I was Monster Girl, I don't know if I would be into that. I'd be like, oh, thanks for helping me, but you really didn't have to do that, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, and I feel like we can see Monster Girl kind of like get the ick sometimes, but then
Yeah.
Robot will do things like literally save her life in the previous episode, and she'll be like, "Oh, okay, like maybe he's like literally manipulating her."
Or like grooming her, like
Yeah.
love bombing. Like, I saved your life. You have to love me.
Yeah.
I made a whole body and killed myself out of mercy or whatever he
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
But if I don't even, what's also really interesting to talk about, the fact that the clone, Rudy, I think is his name, knows that he's the new clone and watched himself die.
Yeah, like the real robot. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I wonder what that would do to yourself, to someone.
I noted that it was kind of Black Mirror-esque. In that like the original robot, like what the Maulers point out is like he doesn't get to go on and live his weird fantasy. He just dies, but then a new version of him that retains all of the memories and knowledge gets to, you know, go flirt with Monster Girl. So it is kind of like existential, maybe, because it would suck to be like the decrepit robot.
And like watch Rudy like live out his wildest dreams.
Yeah.
His last line I wrote because I actually found it really interesting is that like, Rudy's all upset. He's like, why me? And then the original version of robots, like, this is an act of mercy. So like his lifestyle was so bad that he was willing to make this sacrifice.
Mhm.
Technically for himself. I don't know if you call that selfless or selfish, right? Because
Yeah.
it's himself, but it's like what a tricky situation. And I also think it's interesting, and you can cut this out. I don't know if you guys edit this, but it goes with the next season when the blue guys, they make another clone of themselves, but the one knows that he is the older, like one of the blue guys knows that he was the one who created the clone because his body was burnt. And it
Yeah.
ruins the dynamic, and they both end up having to die
Yeah.
because having the knowledge that you're a clone doesn't work. And so I wonder if Rudy kind of was able to dodge that type of emotional turmoil because the original version of himself died.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe he dodged that, but instead, like, now he's gonna have like this weird like power trip kind of thing. Like he is the only like living creature that isn't robot.
Well, yeah, you kind of see that right away when the battle starts.
Mm-hmm.
What are the two blue guys' names again? I already
Twins.
the Mahler twins.
Yeah.
Mahler.
Mhm.
Okay, I've seen it so many times. Like there's too many characters.
There's so many.
Yeah, the Mahler twins like try to get. Rudy tries to make the Mahler twins go back to prison, and
Mhm.
he's just like, "You put the neural link in me, bitch."
Yeah.
Like, I got this transformer, and he turns the truck into a giant robot. That's a power trip. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine some 13-year-old looking kid like having a transformer, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What's made you? The hell?"
Yeah. It's hard because I feel like Robot and now Rudy are like integral parts to the Guardians of the Globe team that like I worry what's gonna happen in the future seasons. Like I don't want him to turn evil, even though he's already a little evil.
Yeah, and I don't know what's gonna happen between him and Monster Girl because
Yeah.
I really, if like putting myself in Monster Girl's shoes, I just wouldn't like. And if I was Rex, like he takes that so chill. Why do we move on so quickly from the fact that it's just been a mini? Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
trust him. I'd be like, he can steal my DNA and then just make another copy of me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what
Yeah, I guess.
if he makes another copy of like Monster Girl or something like that? Would she have like the same curse? Like what if he's just like, I can just make another you that's
And like
fixed?
change something in your brain to make her
Yeah,
fall in love with me.
I know. I just wouldn't trust him after
Ooh.
that.
He's a little too powerful, and I don't think people notice that. Like Robot is very powerful.
He's corrupt too. He
Yeah.
worked with criminals.
Yeah.
He's a big male manipulator energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In robot form.
They put him in charge. Then he's the leader of the little teen guardians or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what their group is. They are the Guardians of the Globe, but they have a name before.
Oh, because they were once Teen Team when it was just like Adam,
Yeah.
Eve, and Duplicate and Rex.
Yeah.
I love the names, by the way. Duplicate? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So
That's a good one.
Portal, Monster Girl. I love it. I love the names. It's like the most exciting part. I'm like, what's the pun this time? New superhero? Who's the pun? Yeah. Anyways, robot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big plot point for this one.
Oh yeah, and they stand around and they do nothing, you know? I know that that's what they're supposed to do when Omni-Man's on his little rampage temper tantrum.
Mhm.
And they just kind of stand and watch. I don't know really what they could do to help, but I don't know. That didn't feel right.
Yeah, Bree and I we've shat on them a lot throughout the podcast just because compared to the original Guardians, they just cannot
No.
perform the job as well.
And sure, maybe they're like a little bit younger, but how are they like? I know they focus, or at least Robot does really focus on working as a team instead of individuals.
Mhm.
But it's like, how many times do you need to be told that for it to like actually snap?
Yeah.
Right? It's like you are supposed to be a team. Let's work together and save the day instead of like trying to get that epic slow-mo highlight.
Yeah. And like fall in love with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. There's gotta be love though. I'm not watching the show unless there's a messy romance.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would focus between Adam, Eve, and Invincible, but Robot and Monster Girl, fine. Duplicate and Rex, ugh, okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Duplicate and Immortal?
I get it. I get it because they have that whole death thing or whatever unites them, but I don't know. Immortal, I really have absolutely no opinion on them. They're such background characters, honestly, that I'm like,
Yeah.
there's other things to focus on. Let them have their romance or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, okay.
Don't get in the way of the people that I care about.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we have a lot to really like dive in on for this episode. So I think we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll really dive into everything and talk about our favorite moments and elements from this episode. So we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Alex. Enjoying this show on the Aspect Network? Then you should check out my show, Philosophy of X. Each week, I pair an X-Men character, story, or concept with a relevant philosophical topic and explore how the two relate to one another. Join me on my journey to examine the world of X-Men through philosophy. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Viltrumics. Before the break, we discussed some of our overall thoughts on episode 7, but now we want to dive into specific parts of the rewatch that we really enjoyed. Negan, let's start with you this time. What were some of your favorite moments from We Need to Talk?
I mean, as soon as it's Cecil just like throwing everything he has at Nolan, especially like I remember like watching this for the first time and back in 2021. It was just so awesome. I really like the Reaniman who we talked about in the last episode. Who Nolan, they do some damage. They seem like kind of a nuisance for a little bit. But I mean, just to like jump ahead slightly, the best part in this episode is hands down when the Maulers revive Immortal and he's just like crazy. And when I first saw like this episode, I was like kicking my feet. Like I was so hyped. And it's still awesome, even though he dies. But it's awesome.
He gets so angry, like in anger unlike anything I've seen. He just like imagine waking up and being like pissed.
Yeah, Omni-Man.
Yeah, exactly. There's no like, oh, I'm back. How long have I been out for? It's just Omni-Man.
And Negan and I have talked about this, but Immortal has like the most cartoon like superhero voice ever. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I actually, it was really interesting how you talked about how Cecil threw everything at Omni-Man. And that's why part of me thinks he's kind of like a bad guy, because he wasn't thinking about any repercussion. He was like, $4 billion space laser, boom, boom, F the land. I don't care. Who's there? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Don't
I know,
Let's get these dead soldiers on them. Hey, people in the helicopters, you stand no chance. Send them. Send them right away. And isn't that important to get to Invincible on time? Like that's also the other thing. It's like, how important is it for Cecil to talk to Invincible before Nolan or Omni-Man does? Like, is it really this necessary?
Yeah.
Because that was the whole fight, was just trying to get to Invincible first.
Well, and also like Cecil had to have seen this coming.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing happened beforehand. He could have talked to Invincible before.
And they do kind of have that weird conversation on the like rocks, whatever the heck they are, where he's got that laser gun. He goes, and Cecil's like, I'm a bad liar. I mean, not bad liar. I'm a good liar. I'm a great liar. And I didn't even see this coming. We've been working for so long together. And I was like, Cecil, don't out yourself like that. Really, I don't trust a single word that damn man says.
I know, but that's why he's like a good character, is because he's kind of in a morally gray area sometimes.
And he has so much power.
He does.
Yeah.
$4 billion space laser. God.
I know. I like
$1 billion more.
I like how that laser like literally did nothing except like kill a ton of birds.
Yeah, all the animals. Like the little squirrels, they're all running away in fear, and
Yeah.
just like another day, just another. Where's
Yeah.
my son?
Yeah, that's definitely the best part of this episode.
Poor Mark and Eve, just they don't know a damn thing that's going on.
No.
Like everyone's sweating, and they're just like, "What is
I
happening?"
know they're having like a midlife crisis because
Over Amber. Amber.
me and Negan have talked about this before, but imagine like being Eve, like knowing you have like feelings for Mark and having to like talk to both Mark and Amber about like how their relationship is. Like, kill me.
She's just too good for this world. Like, we don't deserve her. Like, she did say, she's like, I can irrigate deserts and solve hunger issues, but I'm gonna help you today and your little petty shit. Like, we don't give her enough credit for the BS the world puts her through. She's got terrible parents.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a terrible
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend. Her new crush is so disinterested it hurts. And
She has
yeah,
a cool treehouse though.
she does. She's got a sick pad. I would love to just be like fly around, be like, I like the view. No rent, no mortgage. She owns it.
Yeah.
And she can make gold and just get more money.
I know.
She has it so
Yeah.
easy and also hard, but so easy.
She has like the best power, honestly.
Yeah.
Too powerful. I'm surprised she hasn't gone up against a Viltrumite, because I do feel like if you have the power of the universe at your hands, you could probably do some damage.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. I'm excited to see like what season 3 is gonna be like with
Mhm.
all the Viltrumites and because it's a big fight is bound to happen in season 3.
It's brewing.
Yeah.
Brewing. But that's too far ahead. We're getting
Sorry.
outside of episode 7. the important stuff. But
So what do you guys go ahead?
no, sorry. Go ahead. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
well, I was gonna talk a little bit about Mark and Amber. Because Bree and I are not, I'm kind of an Amber hater. Bree's maybe less so, but we also we root for Mark and Eve. We call it Team Meave. That's that's the ship name. Um but there is this scene in this episode towards the beginning where like he tells her that he's invincible and she's like, "Oh, I figured that out weeks ago, but I'm mad because
You
you
lie.
just didn't tell me." And I noted like because I know a lot of fans like did not like Amber in season 1. And this stood out as one of those moments to me where like she knows why he's unavailable all the time, but like she's still really upset because he was trying to protect his like identity and all. So what did you guys think of that?
I could okay.
You go ahead.
Okay. Well, I thought that's like one moment where Amber was like a badass when she was like, "Fly away, fly boy, or take the stairs. I don't care." Like, get out of my face. Imagine if I had a superhero boyfriend who could fly me around. I think my reaction would be more like Williams, where he was like, "Can I fly? Can I try on the suit?" You know, I would be so
Yeah.
much more excited. But I do get that like being lied about something so big and constantly being ditched uh would make me upset, especially if I was a teen. I feel like we need to take into account that they're like 17 years old. And
Mhm.
so the
Right.
world is kind of small at 17 years old, and like little stuff like that can break. At least if, when I was a teenage girl, I was an
Mm.
emotional wreck. And if my boyfriend was constantly ditching me, I'd be pissed. But also, like, he's saving the world. So it's really complicated. Amber, I'm also a Meave shipper.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just hard for me to root for her at all. I'm really just want her to get out of the way. I respect her integrity, but like we can just move on from like it's okay, Amber. Let's let him go and let's let him be with Eve.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I see where Amber's coming from. I would be upset too. But when you take into account that like your boyfriend's a superhero, like it'd be different if he was like at a normal job all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
different.
He's a good guy, you know. He's also not
Yeah.
one of the bad guys. If he was a bad guy, I'd be like, ugh.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
good guy. So, like, ooh.
Yeah, like Amber, if you can't handle him being a superhero, then maybe let him be with a superhero.
Right? The power team. They would be a power team.
One day we'll get it.
Yeah, exactly. For now, it's just the TikTok edits.
Yeah, I what did you think of that moment, Negan? I know you have opinions.
Oh, I mean, I think you guys make good points. Usually my opinion is that Amber's usually like, she's not ever really unreasonable. It is just kind of like because we, the audience, we're always rooting for Mark, like who's the protagonist of the show. We're always kind of in his like point of view. It is just kind of like frustrating to like sit through a lot of this like this kind of kind of almost like classic secret identity, and I can't tell Spider-Man can't tell Mary Jane because it's like a risk. And I think of course like having Adam Eve also in the show. um Amber is just kind of like a frustrating character, even though the character herself is like, you always kind of get where she's coming from. um but I don't know. I did think this moment was like um slightly more annoying than usual, just because he's like clearly trying to like figure out how to like do this life. And like I think for anyone that would just be so like that would just be hard.
Yeah.
Um
I appreciate her confidence though. Like,
Yes.
she's kept with the bit. Imagine knowing that he was invincible and she's like, it's fine, I'll act naive. Like, that's kind of petty. If I would have been like, if I found out, as like, I would have had that conversation sooner. Understand waiting for him to tell you, but like, to an extent, it's kind of like, okay, well, now you're kind of being petty, holding this against him without like hearing
yeah.
his side. Because, like you said, with Spider-Man, it's like a safety concern. And I'm sure with Invincible, it's kind of like the same thing where he's just trying to navigate this and he hasn't figured out how to have that conversation yet. But she kind of holds it as in like a, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You should have trusted me. But I don't know,
Right.
like, you're 17. Like, you're just a little baby. Like, and I'm not even that much older. It's not like I'm like talking like that's crazy, but they are super young to be dealing with such adult scenarios.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the world,
Like
and
saving the world.
that's pretty intense. That's a big responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, his dad is going to try and kill him next episode.
No, his dad is, yeah. Oh God. That's like, I don't know if I'm a big Adventure Time fan, and Finn has
Hmm.
this thing where he's like in the vault, where it's like something traumatic happens to him and he's just like goes in the vault, forget about it. Poor Invincible's got so many vault moments.
Oh.
Like, I would just be like, my dad tried to kill me in the vault. Gotta move on.
Yeah.
Earth guys, you're shaking shit, whatever.
Before we talk about like the huge moment between Omni-Man and all the things and his fight, talk about that a little bit more. Do you guys have any like other thoughts about the Guardians of the Globe that we see in this episode? Because we see the team kind of celebrate Monster Girl's recovery, which I think is a really sweet moment for them. I'm like, oh, like they're finally kind of getting that team sensibility. Like Rudy, or not Rudy, Rex empties a bunch of milk cartons and fills them with beer. So I thought that was this really sweet moment, to only kind of have them not do anything the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I agree. The milk thing I wrote down as well on my notes because I thought that was really sweet, especially because Rex is usually just like this cocky asshole, like douchebag type character. And so to see that, like, the people he cares about, he's willing to go the extra distance for, even if it's like something like wasting a bunch of milk and refilling it with beer. Like that takes time and that is sweet. And so it's nice to see that side of his character, especially because
Mhm.
later is the big reveal that his freaking DNA was stolen.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I enjoyed that moment. I almost wish that there were more of it because I do like getting to know those characters and seeing other sides of them.
Me too.
Negan?
Um, yeah, I mean, I noted that um
Mm.
I think in like episode 3 maybe of the season, Cecil's like, I'm leaving this blood stain on the wall as like this for you guys to not get cocky, basically. Or like for you, so once you prove yourself, I'll clean it off. Um and Rex says something like when Cecil's like, if this all goes south, you guys are the last hope against Omni-Man. And Rex is like, to the bloodstain on the wall. He's like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened to the last hope against Omni-Man. And I just thought it was a good, like, it was just good writing to like kind of plant it in like episode 3, um, and then like bring just that like image back in this moment, because obviously they would not stand a chance um against Omni-Man, even against just like Invincible. I don't know if they could take him, probably not.
No, and I'm actually
Um,
very surprised that Cecil didn't send them in for Omni-Man, considering that he sent literally everything else after Omni-Man. He sent the freaking jets that are so much weaker than the new Guardians of the Globe. And he was like, you guys
yeah.
stay. Like he had so little faith in them. Like, is that the reasoning? Like, he just didn't believe in them that much, or was he just trying to save them? Like, what do you think that decision was for?
Well, in I remember in season 2 when uh when the Viltrumite Anissa comes down and is beating up on Mark, Cecil says something like, you know, sending anyone else is just gonna be like sending them to their death.
Mm.
Um, and so I imagine it's like a similar thing here. Like he knows like they can't actually do anything. So I don't know. Like if he sent them in, like they would probably for sure get slaughtered, and he's hoping like that he can resolve the Omni Man thing before they die as a last resort.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Bree and I were talking in the last episode, um, how like the immortal was just like buried in like a graveyard where anyone could just dig him up, which is what happens. And we were like, I feel like Cecil would have some knowledge like on just immortals biology or like abilities, and would like freeze him as they figure out how to resuscitate him. Um,
Cecil
but
cannot
yeah,
be trusted.
I wrote that down. I have like an ongoing list of reasons why not to trust Cecil. And Immortal not being revived, like he let the Mauler twins revive them.
Yeah.
If they could do it, Cecil could have done it. So why did Cecil want to keep Immortal dead? And then, though, when he died for a second time, they've decided to put him back together. And in my opinion, he was
right.
Immortal in a far worse condition, second death than first death. And so that is kind of makes me a little bit curious. I can't trust Cecil.
No. I also wanted to note that Black Samson has his powers back after absolutely getting rocked uh, by Battle Beast a couple episodes back. So that's good for him, you know?
Yeah, that's one positive thing to come
Yeah.
out of this is
Yeah.
he got his powers back, but they don't explain why, and I don't think they talk about it at all later on.
No. And I
Yeah.
also like, I'm sure maybe we see him use his powers in another episode, but I like don't know what they are.
You see, even in the second season, I don't remember, like, I don't remember him.
Yeah.
They just gave up. They're like, we should have never gave him his powers back. We're too lazy to animate him. Let's spend our time elsewhere. Like,
Uh,
Brie and I talk about how there's just so many characters on the show, and like sometimes they will oddly give like certain characters like a lot of screen time all of a sudden when like I'm not that attached to that. Like
mm-hmm.
like how you said, like Duplicate is just kind of a background character, and I agree. And like at least they give her like some like romance elements, but like Black Samson or like Shrinking Ray, like they're in the show a lot, and yet
They don't do a
like
lot.
who are you guys? Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of characters.
it is a comic series, right? So we could all read the comics if we're dying to know what happens to these
We
characters.
We could. But that's what makes these like watching the new seasons fun is like we have no idea what's gonna happen.
Exactly. Plus reading,
What is that?
yeah.
I wanted to talk about really quickly bringing it back to the robot and the Mahler twins. I thought it was so rude of Robot to just like turn on the Mahler twins like that. I was like, what do you think you are, a hero? You just cloned someone.
Yes, that is true. And also, like, he's supposed to be against the criminals. So breaking out the criminals, using them, and then double agent, like, turn on them is interesting. An interesting choice for him.
Yeah.
Don't trust Robot either. He's on my list. Go Cecil, Robot, Omni-Man. At least Omni-Man's like honest. Put all of his all the cards are out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of like unchill of Robot to be like, okay, we're actually sending you guys back to prison.
Yeah.
I would have, if I was him, I would have been like, just this once, like, I'll let you guys go off, and then
They're gonna
tomorrow.
like, end up being caught again anyways. So like
Yeah.
But I guess the Mahler twins are smart. I'm surprised they didn't see it coming. Like they blindly trusted Robot. Because if they're smart enough to make clones of themselves and grow a body, they couldn't try to like see that the robot is a guardian of the globe and will put them back in jail. Like that would have gone through my mind. Like, should we actually trust this guy? Also, what do you think they wanted to do with the immortal? They had a controlling the controlling collar.
I know at the end, or not at the end, but when they revive Immortal, they're like, okay, you're gonna go kill Robot and the Guardians of the Globe. But I don't think that was their initial plan. So
no, I feel like there was probably a bigger like take over the world, but let's get rid of these guys first so it's easier.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the Mahler twins. They're like silly villains.
Yeah, they're dumb and dumber.
Yeah. They just want to like be evil to be evil.
Yeah. They're simple. You know what you're getting with them. It's always gonna be the same shit, different day.
Yeah. They are really funny. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about just everything that Cecil tries to stop Nolan.
We talked about the
I mean, we've already mentioned laser beam.
Yeah.
Hits him with it twice.
Yeah, he was like $4 billion most expensive nosebleed or whatever.
Yeah. We see Cecil brings back Sinclair's reanimin, which is crazy, which is also another reason not to trust Cecil because that's just like crazy.
Yeah, well, he says impressive technology and then Invincible's like sick technology.
Yeah.
And he uses dead soldiers. So he's like bringing people back from the dead as these one brain celled killing machines.
Yeah.
He makes a whole army of them. I feel like that's revealed in the end credits or whatever, that he's building like a ton of them. And he said as a I feel bad for those soldiers. It's just not cool.
I know that Negan and I talked about that in the previous episode. That it's just really scary, like what Sinclair did, and like that he like took these like human beings who like still are a little bit conscious sometimes. Yeah, but they slow down Nolan a little bit, but not much.
Imagine an army though, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I've imagined myself in this world before, and holy moly, I'm terrified. I'd go to Europe. Nothing ever bad happens in Europe. Whatever city they're in, I'm moving out. I'm not going to any of those places.
Louise, what like superpower would you want to have?
Does it have to? Is it one of the people in the show, or like just in general? Any superpower?
Just in general. Yeah, just in general.
I've thought about this a lot, and my answers have changed. I used to want to go super fast because I thought that'd be really cool when I was in school. I was like, I can study really quick and be done with my homework. But Red Rush in the first season, it was a super interesting idea that I hadn't thought about. Is like the world moves so fast for him, he can't even have a normal conversation because it feels super slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point that like I don't want that power anymore because I don't want, like, for life to feel too slow, that it's agonizing.
Yeah.
Fast. I think Adam Eve's powers are super cool just because then I could really do whatever I want, you know?
Yeah.
She made her own house. She can save lives and just like make money and wear whatever she wants because she can make her own clothes and eat what she wants because she can make her own food and endless alcohol and you can imagine just, and she can fly too. Like that's not, at least ground her, but no, she can also fly. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd also want to be her.
She's cool.
Yeah. Who would you want to be, Negan?
I think I know.
I mean,
based off
obviously Black Samson. I mean, Mark Grayson's pretty cool, I guess. It's just, how could you not want to fly? Like, that's just like why are humans just so like lame? Like, why can we not just take off?
Well, in this episode, Omni-Man calls humans animals, and I wrote down that I thought that might be like an interesting. I think is it in this episode or is it the next episode? I think it could be the next episode.
Might be the next one.
When he's making his big debate towards Mark. So maybe this is something you guys can talk about next time. But I just thought maybe there's an interesting metaphor going on here for like humans versus animals in general, where like you have your apex predators versus your, you know, like your weaker characters. So, you know, the Viltrumites versus the humans, and what is, you know, the correct way to go about when there is like a superior being. I don't know. I was trying to think really deep watching the show. I may have gotten a little too deep because when he called us animals, I was like, what an interesting thing to call humans animals. Like there is no cognitive thinking. There is no like visible emotion to humans, to Omni-Man. Crazy guy. Happy he's not my dad.
Hey Aspect listener, my name is Alex.
And I'm Kate, enjoying this show on the Aspect Network.
Then check out Bending the Narrative.
We are your one-stop shop for everything in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Each week, we go back and discuss your favorite episodes of the series with a particular focus on the characters and narrative threads that tie the series together.
In addition to discussing the original series, we also dive into other stories in the world of Avatar, like Legend of Korra, the live-action Netflix series, the books, the comics, and more.
Join us as we travel the globe with Team Avatar and discuss one of the greatest animated series of all time on bending the narrative here on the Aspect Network.
Now, back to the show.
I have such a random, like, slightly off-topic question now.
Okay, go for it.
But you know what? Like, Sean can cut it out if he really doesn't like it. But just because Louise, you mentioned apex predators and just how like the Viltrumites are so much stronger than just humans are, even like some of the superpowered humans. This question this is gonna be so random. I was thinking about like apex predators, and how many. It's basically like the Viltrumite is like a grizzly bear, and humans are like ducks. How many ducks would you think it would take to defeat one grizzly bear?
Are you talking literally ducks to grizzly bears, or are we using ducks as humans and grizzly bears as Viltrumites? Because I do think there is a certain amount of ducks that can possibly beat a bear, but I don't think there are any humans that could beat a Viltrumite.
Yeah, just
They're
literally the ducks versus the bear.
ducks versus bear? Okay. What type of ducks? This is
Just the standard
Standard
North
mallard or whatever?
American mallard, yeah.
I'd say 1,000.
Whoa.
Oh,
I think it'll take a lot because ducks, they don't have claws.
Have
They
you
only
guys
have their beak.
have you guys ever seen those videos on TikTok where they're like one horse versus like they'll do like little like videos where they're like what's one like one Omni-Man versus like 5 million Jigglypuffs, and like you'll
yeah,
just
yeah.
see like them fight and the numbers will go down and it'll be like Omni-Man wins. They do that. So maybe the whoever makes those videos should do the duck and bear one.
Yeah. But to Viltrumite to human, I don't think we stand a chance. Not after the whole space laser thing, because that laser was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's
you would
not
need enough ducks to like you can drown the bear. Are they in water? Could they be in water? You just need enough ducks to like weigh a bear down. They just need to drown him.
How smart are ducks to be able to drown a bear?
I don't know.
Interesting path you took there, Negan.
Yeah.
Ducks to
Yeah.
bear. I thought you were gonna go down to like the classic debate: who would you be stuck in the woods with, a man or a bear? Ducks or bear?
Ducks.
Yeah.
Team duck.
1,000 ducks? I feel like 100 ducks.
100? I don't think that's enough.
Wow. This is what are the ducks gonna do besides quack?
I think peck at the eyes, blind the
okay.
bear, slow death, starvation.
I see. Okay. I get that one. I get it.
So the bear can't see, it can't survive.
Bear can't eat them all. He'll be too full.
Yes.
Yeah.
But some bears
but-
they kill for fun, like the black bear.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about animals.
Well, speaking of animals, we do see Cecil send in one last Hail Mary, which is one of the kaijus that Nolan has defeated earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But it no longer feels pain, which is crazy.
kind of smart. Like that's the only thing that kind of, slowed him down long enough.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the robot guys feel pain. Maybe that's how they also, like, maybe pain is going to be the big thing to get the Viltrumites.
Well, because Negan and I have talked about in the past, like how emotion is a big thing, especially with Mark. Like he seems to do the most damage when he's like mad or upset. So yeah, that's a good point with pain. Yeah, because he feels pain. Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing that I thought about is Eve and Mark. Eve chooses to be a hero and she gives up being a kid, and Mark is trying to do both and it's not working out for him. Do you think that he should just like be a kid, grow up a little bit, and then be a hero, or should he do, what Eve is doing and kind of give up on being a kid? Because I don't think he can do both. I don't think he can handle it or balance his time well enough because he's so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
He cares about his relationship and his friends and his family, that he doesn't want to give that up.
Yeah, I feel like just having to give up like school and stuff is probably the best option for him.
If he wants to be a hero, though, I feel like, they said that he was going to live super long. Viltrumites live for super long. So I guess he has time to go back if he wants. But also, if you're like 30 and you're cosplaying as like 22 in college to relive it, that seems kind of wrong. So maybe like this is his only time. I think his mom talks about this in the next season, where she's like, this is your only time to truly be a kid. Like you should be having fun right now. And he's like, but I want to save the world. Like I have all these powers. I need to use them. But I don't know if that's necessarily the right decision, because maybe he does need to grow up as like a man and as an adult before he can do all of this crazy superhero stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I just think it's hard when like your dad is trying to destroy the world you live in and you're really and I mean Cecil says it. He says like he only knows one person who could go toe to toe with Omni-Man, and it is Invincible. So I think he knows that like the world wouldn't survive without him. So he kind of has to like give up that side of himself. Sad.
So then, do you think it would have made a difference if Cecil got to Mark before his dad did? I personally think because Mark learns the truth basically by watching the match between Omni-Man and the Immortal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where all the truth comes out through this really gruesome like killing scene.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if Cecil got there before Nolan did, but if Nolan got there before he had to, like, so he could tell the truth in like the way that he rehearsed it, over being heard by killing one of Mark's kind of was it like hero figures? He grew up watching knowing the Guardians. And so watching one of them die, learning that your father killed all of them, and then the next episode, which is his mission or whatever, that doesn't, I can understand why Mark is against it, but I wonder if there was a way where Mark could be for it. Like, what could have changed? I don't know. I'm all over the place there, but sorry. I've got a lot of ideas.
I know, we're gonna have to bring you back for all the episodes. We'll re-record all of them.
Yeah.
Well, BreAnna talked when we were doing season 2, when Anissa comes down and she's like, that kaiju attacks like the cruise ship, and she's like, when she's like, if the Viltrumites, when the Viltrumites like take over Earth, like that stuff will be a thing in the past. We'll be able to like fix society or whatever. And I don't know if Omni-Man like pitches it as well in the next episode to Mark. Because there's even, I mean, we've talked about like maybe in this, like maybe you could really frame the Viltrumites as like a good thing, um, even though they're like just ruling over the humans. But like they could help us maybe. Um,
Yeah, maybe if it wasn't
I don't
told,
know.
if he had like a nice sit
Mm,
down moment. Because in the next season, you do learn in other dimensions, in like every other dimension, Mark goes bad, right? So I always wonder
mm,
what makes that switch.
Mm-hmm.
That because we missed it. We didn't get that switch in
Yeah.
this dimension, in this world.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good point.
I kind of think that this moment that leads up to it, episode 7, is the episode in other dimensions where that switch would happen. I feel like
Right.
just from everything that goes down.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know, but now I hope we get an explanation.
Right. I want to learn more about, what went wrong in the other worlds that
Mhm.
caused Mark to turn. Because here he clearly says he's a good guy, he's pro Earth, but is it because he heard, you know, Cecil tell him the truth, he heard Omni-Man call his mother a pet, and like all these other terrible thing. He watches his dad kill one of his hero figures, um use him to destroy Chicago. Like there's so
Mhm.
many things within this episode and the next episode where it pushes more clearly to one side. But
Yeah.
what changes that pushes him to the other side? I don't know.
Maybe Omni-Man was a lot better at hiding the truth of who killed the Guardians of the Globes and all the other universes, and in this one he just like was a bad liar.
Yeah. I really don't trust Cecil either because he knew too early. Because
Yeah.
Deb
Mm.
goes to Cecil and she's like, the costume is not good. And he's like, I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to tell you. I was lying to you this whole time until I knew how to take him down. You're like, what the heck, Cecil? What the heck?
Yeah, maybe Cecil should have acted a little quicker, um, like an episode earlier to like talk to Mark before
Yeah.
Nolan can.
Either way, no
But
up. He had a shot and he missed it. He messed it up. Yeah. Oh, another question, another interesting idea that I had was like Nolan's costume, his Omni-Man costume. I'm surprised that he wears it throughout this whole episode and the next episode, because if he is pro Viltrumite and that's what this is leading up to, keeping him in that, like not going to his original like Viltrumite clothing. I wonder if that's supposed to signify anything. I was thinking like maybe if he's like changed or if he's like trying to use Omni-Man as an authority figure to the world. I don't know.
mm,
What do you guys think?
you mean like why he like makes his own or like has art make him like a superhero costume?
Yeah, like why does he have a
Uh,
superhero costume and why does he keep the superhero costume? You know? He
mhm.
never like if
Right.
a Viltrumite and he's proud, why create this false identity?
Hmm. Well,
Hmm.
do superheroes like exist on other planets? Because like maybe he got to Earth and he was like, oh, there's these people like that are like do this as like their job. Like maybe I should kind of
Um,
copy them.
but the
Um,
Viltrumite could have been his superhero.
right.
Have to come up with a new name or whatever.
Yeah.
Could have been Viltrumite or a man or whatever. Viltruman.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Why was he trying to hide that?
Hmm.
Well, maybe it's because he kind of fell into the like he liked to like sort of play pretend for a bit, just kind of
Yeah.
have his family life and be a superhero and it was like cool. Um I don't know, maybe it was easier for him to like not think about like his Viltrumite duties by like changing his costume and like
Anti-Viltrumite though, right? Because they're supposed to be all like, we're the best. We are here to save you because we're the best. So it's hard.
Yeah.
He doesn't.